women have gone to medical school and then they get married and they're, for family reasons, they're not practicing. And this was a project to use telemedicine, to use the skills of these women to help in clinics around the country. So I thought that was really great. Okay, I of course speak from the position of a former U.S. diplomat, an American diplomat who's tried over the years to promote U.S.-Pakistan relations. That has been my interest for 50 years in regional political dynamics and security, but not just Afghanistan or India or whatever. I think that is a good thing. There's been lots of talk about what motivated President Trump to do what he did to sort of reset the relationship, which is what we're talking about. And my view there is that it doesn't matter what his motives were. What President Trump was able to do is set aside years of emotional baggage, which has gotten in the way of our bilateral relations, and to reset the relationship with Pakistan on a level where, in my view, it should have been all along. Now, whether it's sustainable is a very big question. I mean, I think the basis for the relationship, as I've long said, and people might have heard me say this before, Pakistan is a country of consequence. It is a country of consequence, and therefore, as a great power, the United States cannot afford, or it's not in the U.S. interest, to ignore Pakistan. It has so many assets, so much potential. It's the fifth largest country in the world. It's got a young population, entrepreneurial talent, which we've heard about today. It's got resources, critical minerals, agricultural lands, so on and so forth. Strong diplomatic service, which has contacts in Iran and China and the Gulf, which have really been useful to the United States in the past, and the presence. It's strategically located between East Asia and Central Asia and the Middle East and so on. So all these things demonstrate why the U.S. should have a consistent relationship. Now, whether this, I'll call it a reset, President Trump's in the current moment, whether it's security arrangements or allowing U.S. firms to invest in the critical minerals effort and all that sort of thing. It also depends on the U.S. being persistent and consistent in its engagement with Pakistan and not falling victim again to the emotionalism that we've seen in the past, where we were blaming Pakistan for what happened in Afghanistan and all the rest. Now, whether that happens, in part depends on the current administration here and in Pakistan, but this should continue regardless of who is in charge in Pakistan and who is in charge here. So I'm really hoping that particularly the youth can take this forward and that we will have a steady relationship in the years ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So now I'm going to shift to Ambassador Rizwan. So Ambassador Rizwan, thank you for joining us today. I think it's actually my first time ever interviewing or questioning a real sitting ambassador. And so in light of kind of what Robin said...
I can stand if you want.
Yeah, you could. I might not. I might sit on my side, which I don't want to do. So, in light of kind of what Robin just talked about, is it fun being an ambassador at this stage? I mean, actually, if you think about it, your predecessors had quite a hard time, especially when you think about U.S. relations, etc. So is your job a little bit easier now? I would love for you to elaborate on that.
Thank you, Anna. And first of all, let me thank the students of Georgetown who contacted the embassy and have been in constant touch with my team in trying to make it happen. My presence here, and I've been traveling today from Boston and Connecticut to make it to this event. So thank you for the kind of advocacy that went into it. And we hope to have more events like this that are focused focusing on Pakistan and how does it look like. As regards the presence here, well, it is not my first time. I have been perhaps the longest serving deputy ambassador in the history of Foreign Service of Pakistan. I was here across two different administrations and four different ambassadors from 2015 to 19, actually better part of 19. I left them on the 15th of November, I remember. So across two administrations and four different ambassadors, I have been here. So coming back to Washington is certainly interesting. It was definitely, firstly, the choice of my government, because I'm a government servant and I have to perform my duties anywhere my government wants me to perform. And secondly, once it was mentioned that it is going back to the United States, it certainly came as a pleasant surprise, because that is where I had a lot of experience, a lot of contact in not only the administrations or across administrations, because I was also across two administrations, the first Trump administration and the last days of President Obama. So it all brought back the memories, the experience that I can draw on. And in terms of the question that was posed to Ambassador Rafael, by the way, she is the only successful Rafael that I know of. In terms of the question that you posed to her, well, I landed here on the 20th of August last year. And the current state of relationship, honestly, could not have been imagined in even my own wildest imagination. So, what we did in these 15 months, I mean, at least for the first part, there was this electoral season, and I have noticed that somehow each time I witness an election, the US election, Trump wins, because I was here in 2016 as well. But then the most important thing was that from day one, what we did was that drawing on the previous experience, we started mentioning and saying to the Biden administration, the outgoing administration, that Pakistan is a country of 250 million. And from a futuristic standpoint, another country like the United States, which is currently third in terms of population, and another country like Pakistan, which is currently fifth in terms of population, and given our population growth rate, much as we don't like it being our most credible statistic, we are likely to basically overtake even the United States and settle at number 3 after India and China in that order in a little over 2 decades. So we started advocating that Pakistan on its own merit, Ambassador also alluded to it, that not to be looked at from the Afghan lens, from the Indian lens, from the Russian lens, from the Iranian lens, or any other Chinese lens, whatever lens. So Pakistan on its own merit. So what we did was, in the past 15 months, that I tried to play in cricketing terms with a straight bat in the arc. You know, basically trying to talk to the administration, and in engaging with this Trump administration, if you notice, Pakistan did not engage in a hurry. We waited, and we were actually blamed for that everybody is reaching out and why are we waiting. But whatever we did with a sense of timing, and if you recall, I'm sure it must have been mentioned earlier in the day as well, I have a feeling that in the first presidential address to the Congress on 5th of March, President Trump named half a dozen countries and issued a few warnings. Pakistan was the only country that was named and thanked. So, I mean, it is definitely a good time to be here, because the relationship, let me conclude my answer, the relationship is perhaps not the best, it has been better, over 78 years that we have been interacting with the United States. It is as old a relationship as Pakistan itself because it started from day one. The relationship has seen the best of times, it has seen the worst of times. It is neither of those two times, but I can say confidently that the relationship has never been so good looking. It looks good, but it is not a matter of joy just to feel that it looks good. We have to do a lot to make good on it, and that is what Ambassador was referring to towards the end of her answer.
So, Ambassador Akbar, I have had such a deep privilege to interact with you this week and get to know you more, and it's been quite an experience. Now, you are actually due to start publishing your autobiography from Waziristan to Washington. Now, as you know, autobiographies look back. If we were to think about the future of Pakistan, what would you see in that great crystal ball of yours? I'd love to know your opinion.
Well, Anya, I'd go back because I'm a child of 47, August. I was literally born and I saw this great nation come to life. So I'm very committed in that sense, very passionately to the idea and the reality of Pakistan. And I go back again to the man who inspired us and to my father's generation, Quaid-e-Azam, and someone wrote a book with the title of Modern Moses. To that generation, Quaid-e-Azam was like Moses, although not in a theological or religious sense, but in the sense of someone leading a people to a promised land and creating that state. But I go back to him and I read his speeches about Pakistan in 47. And one of the things he said, Amna, struck me. You're talking about an autobiography. He said, I promise that one day Pakistan will be among the greatest nations of the world. And that always struck me, and I said, my God, we have so many problems. I joined the civil service, and everywhere there's a coup, and there's a martial law, and there's a government, and it's in jail and out of jail, and there's chaos, and there's infighting. And yet, Pakistan promised and brought with it so much optimism and faith. And I go back to the people I met over my years in the service, in the field, the ordinary people of Pakistan. I've always found them tremendous faith. You know, the Urdu concept of Aqidah, they had a faith in them. And that faith has always inspired me. So I would like to capture that in my autobiography.
Wonderful. And I'm just conscious of time, you guys, because I know you've been sitting in here quite a while. And actually, Wajahat, you're going to be closing the ceremony. So do you want to actually come sit here on stage with us and just join us? You can maybe do a mahaz for us or something, I don't know. Does anyone want to hear a mahaz from Wajahat? Thank you, come join us.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm going to take a moment to ask you a question, because you've been able to ask questions all day long, and we get to hear you ask questions every single day. So in your opinion, after listening to our amazing ambassadors here, what is the future of Pakistan, and what does it look like?
I'm not very well placed. Thank you. I'm not very well placed to comment on the future of Pakistan with such giants in the room. I'm not even going to feign that I know as much as the people here. Akbar Ahmed is a rock star. He's been so inspiring for decades. Robin, I've had a crush on since, since I started reading Newsweek, where I first spotted her in the late 80s, early 90s. But I do think that what concerns me as a member of the diaspora, as a Pakistani, as a well-meaning Pakistani, I hope, I am a little concerned about Ambassador Rizwan Sheikh. Not because he doesn't play with a straight bat, he does. I am a little worried about the fact that he sits over a very divided polity here. He, half of us in the room, or maybe more, not very clear about the legitimacy of the government that he represents, and yet he's a mere bureaucrat. As he said, he was assigned here. And it worries me about the long-term thing he said himself, that the relationship has never been more good-looking. But as you asked, Robin, does the relationship have legs? And what I'm concerned about is, there's a lot of people in this room who've been pining to ask him specifically questions about the legitimacy or the lack thereof of the government he represents. I worry about other things which come with that. Instability back home, as our keynote Senator Mushahid Saab said, we have to move forward. Do we have in the government that you represent the ability to let go, to unite? That's something, for example, the Indians have on us. They're relatively a little more united. And I worry about why and how you don't engage a little more with the polity here. There are people who want to know more about the fairness or the lack of fairness in the system you represent. I'm not saying you created those problems. I'm saying it's your job to defend a system which is unfair to people. How do you think the polity here, the diaspora can get united? You have a difficult job, but can you do more to engage these students, these activists, these all sorts of people under the same page?
I'm going to take that back. So, do you want to answer? Yeah.
Well, thank you for making that comment. Well, as you mentioned, I am not the adjudicator. I'm a taker. I mean, I mentioned that this is the third government that I am serving even in this city. Basically, to say that the government can or cannot deliver, I am the government, a permanent government, being from the Foreign Service of Pakistan and being from Pakistan's bureaucracy. So I think my record of 15 months here shows that we have delivered as of now, until now. We don't know about tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But for now, Pakistan has in this country, I mean, when it comes to international relations, the government means the Foreign Service. So the Foreign Service of Pakistan, whether it is in this country or in the rest of the world, has delivered, and that delivery has been acknowledged in a chorus of appreciation over the past 6 months, particularly during the days of during the 88 hours that we had in May. And it was perhaps in my service, it was the toughest test that we had to face in terms of defending Pakistan's position in the world, and I think it has been acknowledged that we did a good job. And as for the diaspora here, yes, there can be no denying the fact that there is a division, and there has been a difference of opinion. Always, I mean, last time maybe it was not there as much as it is now when I was here, but there is this divided diaspora, and it is through my presence in the forums like here today. I mean, today I knew where I was coming, but I'm here to represent my country and represent the government of my country. And I will continue to be with my people. I have had interactions before even this one. I'm coming from Boston and Harvard universities, where we had a very candid conversation with Adil Najam and the other students at the Harvard. I believe that engagement is in my blood as a professional. And it is through engagement, it is through listening to each other, it is through appreciating each other's perspectives and respecting the difference of opinion, but finding a way, navigating through the difference of opinion. I believe if Pakistan-US relations are strong, the diaspora is going to be the main beneficiary. If they are weak, the diaspora would perhaps lose to a certain extent. We are ambassadors or government servants with tenures coming and going. The permanent ambassadors of Pakistan here in this country across states is Pakistani diaspora. I would urge them to rally around their identity, because they would be registered in the US statistics as Pakistani Americans for generations. I was here in 2016 election. Bernie Sanders was being mentioned as a Polish American 200 years after his ancestry migrated from Poland. So Pakistani Americans would continue to be Pakistani Americans, and I would encourage them, I would continue to engage them, listen to their perspectives, and find a way out of the difference of opinion, trying to make them rally around their identity and try and strengthen it and not to harm it under any pretext.
Thank you.
Amna, with your permission, a brief comment. His Excellency pointed out to service in response to Wajahat's query. My service, the Civil Service of Pakistan, very proudly claim to be descendants of the ICS, the Indian Civil Service, of which Qaeda-e-Azam said, it's neither Indian, nor civil, nor much of a service.
I want to pick up on your point around the diaspora. So you and I, we met not long ago at an UPNA event in Long Island.
It's about 3 weeks back.
Yeah, about 3 weeks back, in fact. And, you know, we see these organizations, we see UPNA and it focuses on physicians, or we see Open and it focuses on entrepreneurs. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do here today is really engage the younger generations of the diaspora and create a more cohesive diaspora. So I guess my question for you is, what is the embassy trying to do to engage the diaspora, and particularly the younger Gen Zers in the community? How do we engage them and make them active members of the community? And what are you guys actively trying to do?
As I mentioned, that I traveled today to be back with Gen Z, coming from Boston, where I met Gen Z in Harvard and Boston University. Professor Adil Najam, I believe he was supposed to be here. He mentioned that 2 days back that he's going to be here. I mean, he can vouch for my presence there. I also interacted in a closed group with IT professionals in the greater Boston area. There were people from Brown University and Rhode Island as well, and mostly it was Gen Z. On my way to Boston, I interacted with the Open AI people, which was mainly a crowd. I think the eldest was 35 years of age, and we discussed how to utilize the immense potential that Gen Z represents in Pakistan to the advantage of the two countries, and that is where I was mentioning that it looks good, but we have to make good on it, the relationship. And that is where the maximum potential lies, because Pakistan is a generation of 65% population below the age of 30. There's a natural complementarity between Pakistan and United States, because the United States has an insatiable desire for goods and services in this case, and Pakistan offers a quality, competitive, cost-effective alternative. We are trying to, as we speak, strike arrangements where for instance, in AI, one specific event was only about AI. In AI, there would be this arrangement